Hello and welcome back to another edition of the Nathan Podcast. We're delighted to be joined by Craig-Mackail-Smith, a Football League legend, getting double promotions with Peterborough, scoring hatfuls for goal for Brighton, and more recently playing for Notts County and Stevenage in League Two. So Craig, how you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. Yourself?
Yeah, not too bad. Just battling through the lockdown. But
Yeah.
what have you been doing to pass the time in lockdown?
Spending a lot of time with my kids, trying to entertain them. I think that's been the toughest thing in lockdown. Obviously, just keeping them entertained. Normally they'd be at school and nursery playing with their friends, so they don't understand quite why they can't be there. So just trying to obviously get out in the garden with this. The weather's fantastic, which makes a big difference and a big help. And just doing bits and pieces I can try and keep myself fit. Just looking to stuff in the future. Just trying to keep my brain ticking over so I don't kind of dwell on what's going on.
Mm-hmm. And in terms of football, I believe you started your youth career at St Albans. How did you get into football?
Just as a kid, just playing. Like my dad and my granddad were really good at me. They'd come in the garden, they'd kick a ball around and go down the park with me. We used to have like a sponge foamy ball I was allowed to kick around the house so I wouldn't break anything. So it's just kind of like a natural progression from there, really. I just kind of grew into it more and more as I got older. Went to played Sunday League football with friends and stuff. And when I was doing well, it kind of motivated me to kind of keep pushing and seeing where I could take it.
You then stepped up to the first team, where you played sort of 30 games over 3 years. What was it like, obviously, playing for St Albans in that time?
It was great because I was part of the Sunday League team. Playing Sunday League, and then they had like a midweek youth team, which is kind of like an academy team for that level. So I stepped up into that, and I've done really well. And the Normans manager at the time, I think it was John Kendall, he called me up, and I was 16 at the time, and he was like, "Did I want to play?" The team weren't really going to get promoted or relegated, so I think he gave me a good amount of games at the end of the season, and so to play kind of non-league football at that age for the next few years was great. I learned a lot. I didn't play as much as I'd hoped to, but I definitely got a great experience and insight into like what it actually takes to kind of play like non-league football. I was 16. I was a boy, kind of still growing really. So playing against men and the physicality of that was a great kind of thing to help me mould my game as I got older.
And you moved on loan to Ursley Town, and which ended up becoming permanent. Did it feel weird to leave St Albans after having so long at the club?
Yeah, I was disappointed to leave. I think the manager came to me, I must have been about 19, 20, and he just said that I wasn't in his plans. They were going to go in a different direction. So yeah, it was really hard to take. Like I've been obviously playing in the Sunday League team and kind of worked my way through. And as a player, you think like, oh, my transition, I'm going up now. Like I'm going to stay in this Normans team, do well, and then I'm going to get a move from here. So it was a big kind of dent in the plans of actually where I wanted to go. And when I joined Arsley, the first probably few months, I was a little bit like annoyed and probably maybe didn't kind of accept the decision that I'd kind of had to drop down another division to play football. But after kind of having a good chat with my dad and stuff like that, and kind of putting it all into perspective, and then it kind of helped me kind of refocus my mind for that season ahead.
You started, obviously, at St Albans, you didn't score too many goals, but at Arsley, you started to score those goals. I think you got 15 or something like that. What was it like, obviously, starting to show your sort of goal-scoring pedigree?
Yeah, it was nice. I moved position when I was at Arsley, so I moved from being a centre forward to a right winger. So the kind of emphasis on me to score wasn't as big, but obviously to kind of score, I think it's like 15 or 17 goals from right wing. I was really pleased and kind of just like, I've always been a goal scorer. I've always wanted to score goals, so it was just kind of like it kind of, because I didn't score so many at St Albans, it just cemented that I can actually score goals like at that level, at like non-league level. So it kind of gave me a bit more confidence like going forward.
And then you got quite a big move to Dagenham, and that was more sort of getting back up where you wanted to be. Was that exciting?
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, at the time, Dagenham were the team that were making like news because they were doing well in the FA Cup. They beat quite a few big teams in the FA Cup. So Dagenham were a very well-known non-league team at the time. When I was at Arsley, we played them in the FA Trophy, and we beat them, and I played really well. So I think that might have kind of helped me getting a move there. But to obviously go there, the club was kind of semi-professional and professional. There's a few boys that were full-time and a few that weren't. So I joined them, but just before I joined them, I was going to go to Brunel University. So I had like a decision to make whether to go to university or kind of go full-time with Dagenham. So I decided to go full-time with Dagenham because I think that opportunity doesn't come around very often. Regards to kind of going to uni, I can always kind of go back into that world, but with football, it was kind of like the opportunity was there, so to take it.
Was it tough to adjust? Obviously, Arsley are much further down. Was it tough to adjust to sort of conference football at that time?
Yeah, it took me a little bit of time. I was playing I started out as a right winger at Dagenham, and just learning the trade and learning. Because obviously you're playing against kind of ex-players who have played in the Football League, and it's a lot tougher. They're a lot cleverer. You have to learn a lot more. So I think maybe in my first season or so, it was just kind of working out what the division was like. It takes its toll on you becoming a professional footballer, in the sense if you're not used to training every day, then your body has to get used to that rigorous kind of training and playing. So maybe after this first season, it took me a little bit of time, and then John Steele moved me to a forward, and that kind of made a big difference in like how my game changed.
And you had 2.5 years at Dagenham, and in that time you played a lot of games, and you scored over 40 goals. Do you think this was a big point in your career, sort of getting yourself on the map to all these other teams?
Yeah, I think so. I think obviously I was young, and then the team was quite young. The team was being built around young players and lower league non-players, and yeah, I think that kind of helped put me out into the view. I think at the time, like, non-league wasn't very kind of looked at as much as it is now, and I think because we were doing well, Peterborough kind of were looking at that same mould of bringing in lower league non-league players to kind of find gems and push it forward. So yeah, it was hard to leave Dagenham as well when that came about, because at the time Dagenham were top of the league, and I'd spent 2.5 years with the club. I'd spent 2.5 years with these players, kind of building towards getting into the Football League. So it was a tough decision when it came to move to Peterborough, because I felt like I wanted to achieve that with those players.
You obviously went to sign on for Peterborough. How did that move come about?
John Steele pulled me aside and just kind of just said, Peterborough are interested. Would I want to go down there and speak to them and see what they have to say? So I kind of I took a trip down there. I met at the time the manager was Keith Alexander, and I met Barry, and just had a chat with them, and just kind of saw what the plans were. Obviously during the time I spoke to him and went back to Dagenham, I think Keith Alexander left and Darren Ferguson come in. So I had a chat with him as well, and it was just kind of seeing where the club was going. They wanted to, as I said, take the best non-league players, build a team, and kind of push forward to try and kind of get out the league. So it was an interesting prospect. Darren Ferguson at the time was in his first job as well, so it was a completely fresh start, everyone for the club, and a project that they were really excited about. So it was good to be part of.
And in your second season at Peterborough, you played quite a big part in Peterborough getting promotion to League One, which I believe is your first promotion in football. How did that feel?
Yeah, it was amazing. Like, obviously you play football to get achievements and play to get promoted and do all those kinds of things. So to kind of do it in the first full season, I was a professional, like a league professional, was amazing. It was an amazing feeling. Obviously, that we were all brought to that club to achieve that. So there was the pressure of obviously having all these good non-league players: George Boyd, Aaron McLean, myself. So there was a good bit of pressure, and so obviously to do it was kind of like it justified the fact that we were all brought together to achieve something, and it was kind of like it was a great feeling.
And then obviously you went back to back. Very few clubs can do that, and you personally had an incredible year. You scored 20 goals, and obviously you won at Wembley. What were those celebrations like?
Well, the back-to-back one, we went up through the automatic playoffs. So that was amazing to go back-to-back. Say not many clubs do it. It was just like, I think it was just we just had such momentum, and we were still young players, kind of growing into our ability. So we were getting better every time we stepped up, and every game we played. But obviously through that season, there was some huge clubs in. I think Leeds were in that division, Leicester were in that division. I think there might have been Sheffield, one of the Sheffield clubs. So it was a very, very tough division. So to get out at the first attempt and get promoted to the Championship was an amazing achievement.
And that season, I believe you won the League One Player of the Season and the Golden Boot as well. How did that feel to win them?
Yeah, that was the following season, couple of seasons when we got promoted through the playoff final, and it was amazing. Obviously, we got relegated from the Championship, and then we stepped back into the Championship with promotion that season. And it was just an amazing season. I couldn't stop scoring. It was just like every game I went into, just felt like the ball was going to go in the back of the net. It didn't matter like when, what time, whether I had a good shot, bad shot. I was just in such a great vein of form. I had some great players around me, as I said, George Boyd, Lee Tomlin, I think Nathaniel Mendez-Lang, Grant McCann, Aaron McLean. It was just like you could not but score with players like that around you. And to say to be top goal scorer in the country, to win League One Player of the Season, it was, and to top it off by getting promoted through the playoff final. It was just like the most perfect season.
What was that playoff final like? 'Cause obviously, there's a lot of pressure. Talk us through that game.
Yeah, it was a little bit nerve-wracking, really. Like obviously, it's a one-off game, like it can go either way. So it was like the night of and the day of, I was a little bit nervous, just kind of looking at how it could pan out, and it's obviously. It's in a big stadium, not many you played in, a lot of people. So it's all these factors you kind of got to take in, and you've got to kind of use that kind of nervous energy as best you can. But once I've got there and got to the ground and kind of started doing the warm up and stuff, like those kind of nervousness feelings start to go, and then you start to feel excitement because we were playing such a fantastic team in a great vein of form, and we believed we could beat anyone. It was just exciting to have this opportunity to get promoted into the Championship, and it was a really, really tough game. Obviously, Huddersfield had a fantastic team. I think someone I spoke to recently said they were unbeaten in like 20 odd games going into the playoff final. So in a sense, we were kind of underdogs a little bit, but like in typical Peterborough fashion, like we used to do, we kind of scored one and then we scored another two in quick succession and won 3-0. And after this, I think the second went in. I think I scored the second one, and after that went in. I think it was about that 75th minute. It was kind of like you could just feel like we felt like we were going to get promoted after that.
And during your football career, you've expressed how much you wanted to be in the Premier League as a player. And I believe QPR, when they was in the Premier League, that they actually put bids in for you. How did that feel?
Yeah, it was amazing. Obviously, you say like as a professional footballer that you want to play at the highest level possible, and to have kind of Premier League teams come in and express their interest in you, it's an amazing feeling. It's kind of like, sadly for me, that with QPR it never worked out. And at the time when I was at Peterborough, in my last season, Norwich came in as well when they were just on the verge of getting into the Premier League, and that didn't work out. So it's a shame it didn't happen. It wasn't from the want of trying from myself and that. But again, it's always nice that people kind of show that they appreciate what you do.
Is that something you look back on with a little bit of disappointment that you didn't get an opportunity to show your skills in the Premier League?
Yeah, it's disappointing. Obviously, you say that that's where I wanted to be. That's what I wanted to ever since I was a kid. I wanted to play at the highest level possible. And for one reason or another, it wasn't obviously meant to be. There was opportunities that kind of Premier League clubs put bids in and had interest, and it never kind of amounted to anything. So it is a shame. But again, like every dream you have and every ambition you have sometimes doesn't always get fulfilled, and you just have to look at different avenues and different ways to extend your dreams and ambitions.
And you mentioned being in the Championship with Peterborough, and was it tough to get relegated?
Yeah, I think it was hard because obviously coming off a back-to-back promotion the first time, it was just like we were expecting to go in there and perform really well, kind of do what we did in League One and probably have a good season in the Championship. But it's kind of the step from League One to the Championship is vast. Like it was big then, and it's even bigger now. And the financial what would you say, positives that the clubs have in the Championship. They have big clubs with big histories who've got lots of money, who can put lots of good players on high amounts of money. So going into that division, we were playing against very, very good players. And I think we ended up having kind of 4 managers through that time and lots of different players, which is not ideal when you're trying to stay in a division. So to go up and then get relegated was really, really hard to take. I think we were relegated quite fairly early. I don't think we ever really kind of got to grips with the league, but it's a hell of a tough league.
And then you left Peterborough, but looking back on your time at Peterborough, you obviously scored so many goals. Why do you think you were so prolific at Peterborough?
I think the players I had around me, I was very lucky with a great group of players. I think the management style of playing football was kind of was all out attack. It was kind of get the ball forward to the attacking players, let them score. If we concede, we'll score more than we concede. And I think my mentality as well, like when I was at Peterborough, there was never a worry of kind of not performing or not doing well, or there wasn't a worry if this doesn't go well, then I'll just go back to what I was doing. I just enjoyed it. I was kind of had a very naive attitude of just enjoying every single moment I've got, don't think about it too much, and just kind of play football. And I think that's why it allowed me to be so successful at the club.
And you then moved to Brighton for a fee that I believe stretched up to around about £3 million. And you signed a 4-year deal with the club. Do you feel like it was the right time to leave Peterborough?
Yeah, I feel like I'd done everything I could do. I feel it was just a time for a change. Obviously, we got relegated from the Championship and we got promoted back to the Championship, and then I just felt it was just a good time to kind of look for a new challenge. And there was a few clubs. I think there was West Ham and Leicester as well, but their interest wasn't as strong, and they didn't make me feel like they actually wanted me to sign me at the club. So I had a great chat with Gus. It must have been like a 3-hour chat with him and his assistant Tano, and talking about how they wanted me to come to the club, why they wanted me to come, what they felt was like the way to help me, and how I could help the club, the vision they had for the future. So they spent a lot of time. They actually did their research on me, and they actually made me feel like they wanted me to be part of the club. So that was a big reason why I went there.
Did you ever feel like pressure from like the £3 million fee?
Yeah, I think that weighed on me, and I took it in the wrong way. As I said, at Peterborough, I just played like carefree, and I didn't worry about anything else. I just played football. I didn't allow outside stuff to influence me or kind of myself influence myself. Whereas when I went to Brighton, I think I allowed the price tag and the pressure of being like their most expensive player to weigh on my shoulders. So I was always having to feel like I was trying to prove myself that I was worth £3 million. I was always kind of putting the pressure on myself because I felt like I should be doing loads more, and I should be scoring loads of goals, and I should be like getting the club promoted to the Premier League. So I took it the wrong way. I think if I'd have just kind of, as I said, been carefree and kind of looked at it in a different manner, then I think maybe I'd have been more successful at the club.
And in the 2012-2013 season, you got an injury that kept you out for 13 months. How difficult was that?
Yeah, it was tough because I think my first season was okay. I think I scored 10 goals, but you can kind of allow that. Like it was my first season with the club. It was a different way of playing. So, but in the second season, I started off really well, and then I think by the time I had about 11 goals in like 23, 24 games. So I was doing pretty well. But yeah, the injury just kind of just halted any progress of what I was going and what was happening. Yeah, I ruptured my Achilles. I think I was away to Bristol City. I just went to run and I heard it pop. So yeah, it was really hard to take. It was not knowing how long I'd be out. I thought it was only a few months, and then to be told it's like the minimum is 9 months was really hard to take, because the team at the time was doing really well. And end of that season, we missed automatic promotion by 3 points and lost in the playoffs to Palace. So to be sitting on the sidelines, knowing that maybe if I'd have been played in a few more games and contributed a few more games, we could have got promoted to the Premier League, was really tough. It was a hard period to kind of like overcome that. Spend all of the summer kind of trying to learn to walk again and run again, and it was mentally draining.
And then you came back from injury, and Brighton got to the playoffs again, but unfortunately lost to Derby. How disappointing was that?
Yeah, it was kind of. I was happy and I was also disappointed at the same time, because I'd come back and I think I came back at the end with about 6 games to go of that season. So it was great to be back playing or being involved. And I got to contribute massively. The last game of the season, I put a cross in and Lario scored, which put us into the playoffs. So that was like an amazing moment for me, of all the time I'd been out and all the hard work I had to put in to kind of be able to contribute to that moment to put us into the playoffs was amazing. And there was so much emotion. It was great. And then obviously we went into the playoffs, and we played a Derby team that were absolutely flying at the time. So it was obviously a shame we lost to them. I was disappointed that I never really got more game time. I think I played like 5-10 minutes in the first leg and maybe 5-10 minutes in the second leg. So that was disappointing, but it was just great to be back playing football again.
And in your last season with Brighton, you was loaned back to your former club, Peterborough, where you linked back up with your striker partner, Aaron McLean, who you'd scored, over 150 goals with. Was it good to be back there?
Yeah, I just needed to play. Coming back off of the injury, I'd been out for so long. I just needed games. I needed to play regularly. I'd put probably 4 or 5 kilos on of muscle that had kind of changed the way I played, and rupturing my Achilles as well. Kind of, it took away a bit of me. It took away a bit of my acceleration, and all the things that kind of made me who I was. So going to Peterborough, I was just going there to try and play games, to try and find my feet and find like who I was as a player.
And you left Brighton. They weren't renewing your contract. Was it disappointing to not stay at Brighton? Obviously the goal was to get to the Premier League, and just miss out so many times. Was it disappointing to leave Brighton after that? Yeah,
it was a fantastic club, and I don't think I ever really showed what I was capable of. I think there was glimpses of how good I was, but never really kind of consistently showed them how good I was. And obviously to get the injury and miss 13 months of the season, 13 months out was just, it was a period of time that I can't get back, which may made a difference, or it may not have. But I had a chat with Chris Hughton, who was a manager at the time, and he just explained to me that they wouldn't renew my contract. I kind of understood. I wasn't the player I was when I first joined, and I wasn't really playing as much or scoring as much under him. I knew the club was going places. I knew the club was going to get to the Premier League. That's the reason I kind of joined, to be part of that. And it was great to see kind of a few years after I left that they reached that goal. They got to the Premier League. So I'm grateful of the time I spent there, and obviously I'm very happy to see them reach where they should be.
And then you moved on to Luton, where you had a decent first season, but then in the second season you went on loan again to Peterborough. How grateful were you to them that they kept having you back?
Yeah, it was brilliant. Obviously, I went to Luton, didn't again quite work out how I wanted to go. I was kind of finding my fitness, trying to get back to the player I was. And then I had another major injury in March of the first season. I broke my ankle and I was out for 8 months. So it was kind of like another stumbling block, another kind of thing I've had to work through. I came back from that injury, and Nathan Jones was the manager. But also at the time there was Jack Marriott, Danny Hilton, and Isaac Vassell who was scoring goals. So it was very hard for Nathan to just put me in after coming up with such a big injury. And they were young and they've got a great resale. I was kind of early 30s, so I can understand why it happened. And obviously with Peterborough and the connection I have, they've always been great to me, and it was great for them to kind of take me on loan, because at the time they were in the league above Luton. So for them to take me was amazing. Grant McCann was a manager at the time who I'm good friends with. So I think he wanted me to come in with a bit of experience, try and help the lads through, and also kind of help me get my footing again, get playing, get fit. And at that time, I scored my 100th goal finally for them, which I think maybe that was a reason why I kept going back as well, was to try and get past that 100th goal.
You then joined Wycombe, where you spent 2 seasons there, and you had a good striker partnership with Akinfenwa. Was that a good 2-year spell?
Yeah, it's been brilliant. I'm contracted till the end of the season, but I've not played at all this season. But the first season we were there, it was a fantastic time. We got promoted in the first season I was there. We weren't expected to. We were expected to kind of get relegated or be within around relegation. We had a lot of older players, kind of myself, say Bayo, Sam Saunders, Marcus Bean, Nathan Tyson, Adam and Lab. So everyone looked at it like a team that was past it. We were all in our 30s. I think people just kind of wrote us off. So to get promoted that season was an amazing achievement for us as players, but also the club. I think we showed a lot of people kind of like what we still could do as players. And then obviously to get promoted to League One, the second season, I played part of the season, and then I ended up going to Notts County on loan, which was hard because obviously they were in a really precarious position. I didn't have to go. I could have stayed at Wycombe and just sat on the bench, but I wanted to go and try and help. I believe in my ability and stuff like that. I didn't want to shirk away from the challenge, and obviously it's a fantastic club. So I wanted to go there and do the best I could and help. And obviously, sadly, missed out on staying up. I think with about 20 minutes to go on the last game of the season. And then this season, I haven't been involved with Wycombe. I haven't played any games, but I do watch them, their results every week, and to see them being where they are in the division is an amazing testament to the dressing room and to the staff of what they've done. And I think that's fully deserved where they are. Obviously, you don't know how the season's going to finish with regards to the season carrying on or playoffs. So hopefully they can sneak into the playoffs, or if they get the season finished, then hopefully they can carry on their fine form and get promoted. Myself, obviously, at Stevenage this season, been really tough. There's been 4 managers. Dina Marmaria brought me in to play games. The first game I was there, he gets sacked, so it's not really ideal. And then obviously new managers have new ideas and bring in different players. So I haven't played as much as I'd hoped this season. Really difficult because obviously getting older, I want to play as much as I can before I kind of retire. I feel like I've got lots and lots kind of life left in me. It's obviously just finding somewhere that's going to take me on, really.
Obviously, you mentioned the Notts County loan. Obviously, you were one of the senior players, a lot of experience. Did you ever feel sort of that pressure of sort of being you were the man to turn to like drag them out of it? Obviously, a massive club, Notts County.
Yeah, I kind of stepped away from that pressure and just I went there to help, and I tried to do the best. Like, I gave as much the best I could. I think I was trying to learn from like my past mistakes, as they say, like from Brighton, overthinking things and taking things on my shoulders too much, and trying to do everything like by myself. It's kind of like I kind of took a bit of my own advice. I just stepped away from that pressure and just played football, and just tried to do the best I could and win games. And then hopefully, kind of come the end of the season, that would be enough to see us safe. We were close. I think we were 20 minutes to go. We were safe, and then it kind of turned around the other way. But I'd say Notts County is a massive club with a fantastic history, and I think obviously this season for them in non-league, it's just been a case of kind of understanding the league, because the league is not easy. It's a hell of a league. The conference, it's not what it used to be. Every club's professional. There's probably 5, 6, 7, 8 teams that have been played in the league that are still trying to get out of the conference. So it wasn't going to be a walk in the park. It wasn't going to be a stroll for them. So I think it's been a good insight for them this season, and I think next season they'll come back stronger and be challenging to get out of that division.
And in your career, you've played for England, C, and Scotland. You scored for Scotland. How did it feel to represent your country?
Yeah, it's been amazing. Obviously, I got to be part of the England C team through the non-league games and that time at Dagenham, and just obviously there's been some great players who've played in all the leagues in the Premier League and internationally through that. So that was fantastic. And then obviously to represent Scotland was a huge honour. I qualified through my nan. When I joined Peterborough, I kind of put it out there to Barry and said, look, if there's an opportunity ever to play for Scotland, then I'd like to be considered. And yeah, so for Craig-Mackail, who was a manager at the time, to come and call in while I was playing in League One was massive. And I was so proud. And my first game, we played Brazil at the Emirates, which was mind-blowing in itself. But my nan got to actually be there and see me kind of come onto the pitch and play, and see me in a Scotland shirt. So that was just like, you just couldn't buy that. It was just an amazing feeling, like, and I was so proud as well.
Obviously, we don't know what's up with the season, but have you got any plans for next season?
I would say my contract runs out with Wycombe at the end of this season, and I don't know obviously how this season's going to finish and how the next season's going to start. I feel good in myself. I'm keeping on top of my fitness. I want to carry on playing. I still feel there's a lot of life left in me. I still feel like I've got a lot to offer playing wise. I hope that is in the Football League, but obviously, if whatever the options are, I will take and look and see how I take that. I'm also, given this time we've had to kind of I'd say time off. I've looked at kind of other aspects of what I'd want to do once I finish football, with kind of like regard to coaching, striker coaching. I like kind of strength and conditioning side, and like the functional movement side of stuff. So I'm looking into the future, because obviously it doesn't last forever. But I want to play as long as possible, because I know once I step out of playing, then I won't be able to step back into it. So I want to kind of take as much out of it as I can before I finish.
And you mentioned your plans after football, with coaching and stuff. What is the dream for after football?
I'd like to do like some striker coaching. I'd like to kind of take players like of all different levels, and kind of like work with them to kind of improve their kind of getting into the right positions, the finishing, just like making little general adjustments here and there to help the forwards. I feel like I've got a good enough amount of experience to help players do that. And also, as I said, I'd like to kind of go into like functional patterns, like strength side of it. Kind of combine the two, because I've always been into kind of like how I can make myself that 1% better. And I think those little 1% obviously always add up to a big amount. So those are the two things at the moment that I'm kind of looking into and seeing how I can utilise that in the future.
Do you want to go for your best 11?
Yeah. So I've got David Stockdale in goal. He was a fantastic keeper. Obviously, he got promoted to the Premiership League with Brighton and was Team of the Year. His distribution was amazing. He could zing a ball left foot, right foot, off the ground, out of his hands. He could have probably played on the pitch, but he's a bit heavy to do that. So goalkeeper's probably best for him. Bruno at right back, just fantastic athlete, fantastic person. Achieved so much in his career. To be playing in the Premier League at kind of 37, 38 and still kind of being one of the hardest right backs to get past is a testament to him. And then I had centre half, I had Gary Zakuani, who was an absolute wall. And he'd head a brick wall, he'd head your foot, he'd head the back of your head, he'd put his body on the line. He was just an out and out defender. He's no nonsense. The ball come to him, he'd boot it out the stand. He was a great person to have in the trenches with you when things got tough. And then next to him, I had Matty Upson. And Matty, obviously, he was getting on at that time when I played with him. But again, you could just see his qualities. I think he ended up winning. I think he might have won Player of the Season at Brighton at the year he was there, and he was early 30s, mid 30s. So it just shows how good he was. And obviously he'd done a lot in his career up to that point. So it was just great to learn from him and talk to him. Left back had Wayne Bridge. Again, fantastic. One of the best players I've ever played with. Just he's just engine. He could get up and down. His left foot was ridiculous. He was strong. He was quick. You could see why he was so highly rated throughout his career. And obviously, I think if Ashley Cole wasn't around, he probably would have been England's regular left back. Then I've got Grant McCann in front of the back four. Unbelievable left foot. His left foot was ridiculous. In training, he used to go in the goal and I'd put my arms in the top corner and he'd just whip balls in between my arm and the top corner. It was just amazing to watch. And obviously for me, when we played together, he knew where to put the ball and when to put the ball. So it was a dream for me to be running onto all the through balls that he'd play. Then I'm playing a diamond, so I've got Vicente, who was at Brighton. He was a Spanish player, how you'd think. He was obviously at Valencia. Real Madrid, I think, tried to buy him for 34 million. I think injuries made it a little bit hard, and obviously he kind of found his way to Brighton. And I think he was only ever 70% fit at Brighton, but just on the ball, he was just ridiculous. He knew where you were. He moved the ball to keep it away from you. He could go left side, right side. He was quick. He was just what you'd think of a typical kind of Spanish player was. He encapsulated all of that. Left side of the diamond, I've got George Boyd. Obviously gone on to play in the Premier League and played in the Premier League for years. He was just, at the time I played with him, he was just out of this world. Again, his left foot, he had the ball on a string. He could chop players. He was reminded me very much of Matt Letizia. They both weren't the quickest, but they had the ability to get past people and score fantastic goals. Top of the diamond, I had Lee Tomlin. Again, I feel with his ability, he should be playing week in, week out in the Premier League. I've kind of seen him recently, some of the assists and goals he scored for Cardiff are just out of this world. And again, when he was at Peterborough, he was just starting to kind of find his feet and get himself a name in the game. So I'm hoping that he's kind of now being more consistent at Cardiff. He'll kind of find his way back into the Premier League. So I think that's where he belongs. Up front, I've got, I'm stuck really because I've got Akinfenwa and I've got McLean. And if I don't say either of them, then I'll probably get punched by both of them. So, so I would say they can play together with their legs tied together. But that obviously Akinfenwa just an amazing player. Obviously, people say that he can't play the game. He's too big. He's all these things they've said to him, and he's overcome all of that. And he's gone on to have a fantastic career. He's a player that you don't want to play against. He's a player you want to play with. This season he's done brilliantly. I think he's 38 years old and he scored 10 goals in League One. I think he's the leading goal scorer for Wycombe. I think he's got 50 odd goals for Wycombe in his time there so far. So he's a fantastic career, and I think he's got a good few more years. And then obviously Aaron McLean, I had a great time with him. We had a fantastic partnership at Peterborough. We knew each other inside out. We wanted each other to do well, which I think made it work so well. We weren't about like me scoring more than him. It was like we wanted each other to score as many goals as possible as we could. Then we also got told early on in our time that we couldn't play together because we were too similar. So we kind of wanted to prove people that we could work together, and I think we did that over our 4 years together. And then me.
Who would you have managing that team?
Wow. It'd probably be between Gus and Fergie. As I said, Fergie was just very like as a forward. It was just great to play in. Like he literally just would want us to go out and express ourselves. There was never like he didn't want you not to do anything. He wanted you to try things. He wanted you to be the player that you wanted to be. And obviously it helped with the players we had around. And obviously, and again, we just attacked in waves, and we defended the best we could. And if we conceded 2, we'd score 3, and if we conceded 3, we'd score 4. It was just the way it was. So I'd probably say I'd take Darren, because I think the back 4 with Bruno, Zakiwani, Upson, and Bridgia, and I think they could defend themselves without having to worry about us lot being in an attack. So I'd probably go Fergie.
Final question before you go: what is the best moment in your career so far?
Oh, wow. Best moment in my career so far. Oh, dear. Wow. I think representing Scotland was probably up there. I think at the time when I thought of international football, especially like England, Scotland, Ireland, Wales, I always thought like it was Premier League players that play and it's probably top championship players. And when I got called up to the Scotland team, I was playing in League One. So I think for me to go and represent Scotland when I was, especially to go and play against Brazil at the Emirates, it was just like, I think that was just, it was kind of that point. It was just an amazing. Everything that you work for was like coming together. And then obviously to step onto that pitch, there was 60,000 people. And then you kind of see Dani Alves, you see Neymar, you see, I think, David Luiz, Lucio. You see all these players, and you've seen them on the TV, and you played with them on FIFA and stuff like that. And then you're kind of standing on the same pitch as them. It was just like, it was surreal. And it was just, as I said, my family was there, which was amazing. So all that hard work was, I think that's probably like my best moment.
Obviously, thanks for your time, Craig. All the best. Hopefully you stay in the Football League. All the best. But if you fancy come down to non-league, Epsom will take you. Epsom will give you a go. But yeah, obviously, thanks for your time. Thanks for coming on. And all the best.
Cheers. No worries.
Thanks, Craig.
Cheers.